Social entrepreneurs don't generally set out to incite protests or topple despots, but they are revolutionaries nonetheless. They understand that wars can be waged by 1,000 cuts, that crimes against humanity occur when millions of children die of diarrhea or tetanus, when medicine fails the poor, when education squanders young educators and sacrifices its young. And they refuse to accept that this is reality, the status quo, just the way things are. They know better, and they set out to make it so. The 2011 Skoll Award winners we honor tonight offer scalable, proven solutions to these toughest of problems and to the unacceptable conditions of poverty and injustice that breed and sustain them. Madhav Chavan, Pratham. Madhav Chavan found Pratham in 1993 to address India's educational crisis. 140 million of the country's children, 95% of whom are enrolled in primary schools, can neither read nor perform mathematics at age or grade appropriate levels. Pratham's approach emphasizes simple, low-cost solutions. It bases its programs in homes and temples. It trains mothers and volunteers to reinforce math and reading instruction and insists on rigorous assessment to ensure interventions succeed. At the height of its flagship Read India campaign, Pratham reached 17% of India's children, covering 21 states and 1 out of every 2 villages. Literacy levels improved dramatically, so much so that the campaign has transitioned to scale up its results through partnership with state and local governments. Beyond its direct interventions and disciplined self-assessment, Pratham created the annual Status of Education Report, the only measurement of children's literacy and numeracy conducted at scale in India today. Madhav and his senior staff serve on educational policy-making bodies at state and central government levels. They innovate and test, implement and prove, and then partner and serve with government to transform public education for India's children. Madhav Chavan, Pratham.
Thank you, Academy. Always wanted to say that. And there is an aspiring actor inside me, and it helps to know that Jeff Skoll is into movies as well. And I think the Skoll Awards are the Oscars of social enterprise, don't you think? Now, I have a problem, because most of the things that I wanted to say as context to my speech, Sally has already said. So I can tell you some stories instead and some other thoughts. I know Ben is looking forward to those. You see, there are 200 million children in India, 210 million odd children. Sally's given you some statistics. 97% of those, and we verified that through humongous surveys which we do every year, 97% are enrolled in school. Most schools, more than 90% schools, get midday meals. All children are given textbooks, not always on time, but they get textbooks. All children are provided free uniforms, 2 sets. In many states now, the governments are giving bicycles to young girls to go to school. So after all this, and there are teachers as well, not enough always, but there are enough teachers. So why is Pratham doing anything at all? And so when we went out and did this annual Status of Education report, and we do it every year, we found that 50% of the children cannot read. My colleague, Dr. Rukmini Banerjee, tells a story of a bunch of volunteers going into a village in the northern province of India called Uttar Pradesh. So it's a village, and the village head, a patriarch, is lying down on his charpai. Char is four, so it's a four-legger. Can't call it a bed, can't call it a cot. And he's smoking his hookah. And when he sees the volunteers, he's saying, "What are you guys doing here?" They say, "Sir, we are here to do a survey." No. Education is all fine here. All children go to school. And his three sons are standing there. One is a third grader, another fifth grader, and a seventh grader, well spaced. And so somebody says, "Look, there's a simple test here," and the young kid starts looking. And so they show it to him, and the third grader stumbles, and he can't read. So the hookah comes out and says, "Okay, give it to the other guy." So the fifth grader starts reading very, very haltingly, can't read. Now the man is sitting up. The third guy, the seventh grader, is saying, "I don't want to take this test." So he says, "Get me my shirt." He's sitting bare-chested. "I want to check every house in this village. What the heck is going on?" And so he goes out and checks, and lo and behold, he finds that most children can't really read. Now, this actually is a picture of India which symbolizes what's going on. Parents think children go to school, so they must be learning. Teachers think children come to school, I teach them, so they must be learning. And the policymakers are happy with all that and say, great. So when we do this survey, village after village after village, it's a wake-up call. Policy is not that easy to change. Establishment doesn't change that easily. Evidence in my corners of the world is not always helpful. So we have to start telling people, simplify the assessment, simplify the methods. So even the most ordinary people who are capable of doing extraordinary things, as we heard, they will get up and say, "I want to educate my child." Whose responsibility is it to educate our children? Government. Well, it's easy to point fingers, but as you heard perhaps in your childhood, when you point one finger at somebody, there are three fingers pointing at yourself. You better do something about it. Look at it another way. If it was your child who could not read, would you blame the government? Advocacy. Would you go out and lobby, or would you start teaching your child? I think both are required. While you have to tell the government to do things, you have to get up and start doing something by yourself. And I'm proud that I live in the country of Mahatma Gandhi, who said, get up and do it. Do it yourselves. So the Pratham volunteers, people go out and start talking. Mahatma Gandhi walked 23 days, 300 kilometers, and picked up salt against the British Empire. What country is this now? Okay. Hundreds of thousands joined him, and history of India was changed. And now you don't have to walk for 23 days, not 300 kilometers, just pick up a book, don't pick up salt, and read with a few children in your village. Hundreds of thousands will join you, and the history of India will change once again. It's a very powerful message. And that's how, by the thousands, volunteers come up. Now the problem is, while these volunteers come, they are also victims of the same education system. They can't teach very well. They don't know math. They don't know reading properly. And so the Skoll Award is going to help us to build capacity of our own organization so we can do things not only on a large scale, but do them better. We need to build leadership so that people can do things on their own. I want to end by quoting Lao Tzu, the great Chinese philosopher poet. And it's one of my favorites. It is a guiding principle of how we try to do work. It's not always easy. Lao Tzu said, go to the people, live among them, love them, learn from them. Start with what they know. Build on what they have. And when it is done, they will say, we did it ourselves. It's not about Pratham. It's not about you. It's not about Skoll. It's about people changing their own lives. We would like to enable them as best as we can. Thank you.